It's the final panel, and it's a chance for me to be, I'm tired, I'm a little bit grumpy. We've been harassing clients for the last 2 days, and I get a chance to really bully them for the next sort of 30 to 40 minutes. And what I thought we'd do, because I am actually going to bully them for the next 30, 40 minutes, is at the end, we've got some nice creative to play. And these guys are going to explain why they like it and all that sort of stuff. So it's nice and easy, right? So we'll go straight into it, because this has been a bit of a theme of the event. It's a quote that I picked up, which was actually is unprovoked by Ritson. I have to read it from here. He said, I don't know if anyone saw this on LinkedIn, you can nod and wave or whatever, but he said, and it's an MI3 article, completely unprovoked. He said, I've never seen a bigger delta or disparity between how the tool of TV continues to work very well for brands and how marketers view it. It's a very strong medium. And again, we've looked at the spend data, haven't we, ladies and gentlemen, all the last couple of days, and the spend isn't marrying up with the effectiveness that TV delivers. B, why is that happening?
So I'd hope the marketeers understand the value of TV as a medium, because obviously big screen, high impact.
There's a disparity.
Yeah. You don't need to get going yet. I think there's a few things that are coming through. So absolutely. I think not all advertisers necessarily are measuring a lot of it. So that's a measurement problem per se. I mean, we run a lot of econometric studies. We make sure of long-term, short-term effects. So we do know the strength of the medium. We also know it relatively to other mediums. So that's number one. Could be the case that it's a bit on surface trickier to measure, because you have to have your own models. So I think that's one element of it. The second one is also accessibility. We, as an advertiser, for instance, we have a very centralized model in the sense that we do strategy, planning, buying centralized. If that's not possible, accessibility can be a bit challenging.
So that's the ease of purchase.
Yeah.
So you know it's the most effective medium for you, would you say? But it's
not the most, but it functions very well in combination with other media as well, yeah.
Okay, so you're saying if it's not easy, broadcasters are missing out on money. Would you say that is a definite link?
And depending on the client structure, scalable. If I have a specific channel that is only present maybe in a specific smaller country, and I have a model where I need to scale everything up to regional minimum, maybe even global operations, it's quite hard to say this works here and then scale it up.
Okay, we're going to come on to what would you do if you were a TV exec, and maybe global buying would be your
You want
thing.
to jump to the answer?
No, I don't want you to do that. What I'm going to do, Fleur, we're going to just go down the line. And by the way, you're welcome to introduce yourself. Do you want to actually say what you do? What do you do? Yeah. Do you want
Clearly, I measure media as well.
Yeah.
So I'm the Vice President of Media and Digital Market Research at Beiersdorf.
Okay, so you look after global marketing, US as well as rest of the world?
US and Europe.
Okay, busy girl, brilliant. Fleur, introduce yourself. Why are you not spending enough money on TV?
Thanks, Justin.
That's all right.
So I'm Fleur. I'm actually recently COO at Mindshare UK. I mean, Justin, I guess the problem I have is Mindshare is. So actually on our numbers, we've actually spent more in TV and in linear TV as well this year than we did last year.
Oh, okay.
So we are spending more, but I understand that's not the case everywhere. I think probably one of the reasons for us is the investment into analytics, investment into measurement, and that is a lot of our clients, ever since COVID, I think we found that our clients are leaning much more into that analytics space, having to prove the marketing effectiveness so they can take it back to their business. But consequently, it means that we've got those results. We're finding that our clients are working with us on that analytics more often as well, because of the speed that we want it to come through in our plans. But I think what's interesting is we all have that. Whether you were talking at the cost implication for MMM isn't possible to all clients. But what we have got is some brilliant research in the industry that's showing us, exactly as you say, it's demonstrating the strength of TV. So I can see Rupin right in the front row for ThinkBox. But the Profitability 2 study does that. That's across, so that was Ubiquity, Game Theory, and my sister group M agencies all coming together, looking across 144 different brands and looking at their models, their effectiveness. TV comes top. So that is huge for us, and that's something that then is driving our planning and what we're doing.
Yeah, so that's where the facts point. But why is the disparity? Do you ever sit there with clients and go, yeah, this is just the facts, and they're like going, no, I just believe what the platforms tell me?
So I think,
you struggle to win that battle.
I mean,
Well, it's what's going on. Look where the spend is going.
But it depends on the objectives that the clients are setting, and we'll work with them on that. But it isn't always down to effectiveness. There's different challenges. There's different things that they have to talk about with their brands, with their products, and sometimes those things need perhaps a more nimble channel, something that's not going to have such high production costs. You know, when you're talking about retail and specifically the speed with which we have to move, TV's great. It absolutely delivers, but sometimes you need that other channel mix to help bring in something.
Well, the issue is that sometimes is usurping like TV spend when you look at it from a global perspective. It's flat despite the extra supply. Robbie, broadcasters are so much frustrated. Right? We mentioned the profitability study and the IPA stuff. We've got rigorous studies and effectiveness. Viewership stuff isn't really that much of an issue because with telly, you get what you pay for anyway. So it doesn't really make any difference if people are saying, well, it's not there. So why is this problem when you have all these solid studies? Why is it so hard to get into the minds of clients that it's where they should be putting their money?
So I think I can only talk about the UK market, but I think from my perspective anyway, the TV landscape in the UK has never been more fractured and more divided than it is at this particular moment in time. And actually, from a marketing point of view, I think so many marketers have been seduced, I guess, by the easy drug of performance marketing and digital marketing, the transparency that gives you as well. I think particularly internally. But I think as ever, you know, that's a kind of false economy. For me, it probably comes down to the power of an emotional argument over a rational one, which in some ways is an argument for television. But actually, there are so many rational, empirical reasons to be using television, both in the short term and in the long term. It still has a unique value within the marketplace, and most of the brands that are succeeding have it as part of their mix if they can afford to as well. Yet there's a kind of very simple emotional argument against it, which in the UK seems to be based on linear TV only, which is the medium is dying. So there's so much misinformation, I think, that's out there. But again, it's kind of how do you, at the moment, I think the industry is trying to use rational fact to counter a kind of an emotional soundbite, which is a really difficult thing to do.
So we shouldn't use rational fact to challenge this.
Now, you know that is not what I just said.
Well, it was close to it. But at the beginning of what you said there, the fractured, uncollaborative nature of the TV industry, is that harming spend from your perspective? Is it making it harder for you to justify spend on telly? Is that what you said at the beginning? So
I did say that, yeah. I think for us, probably not, because we've got 5 years worth of really detailed econometric data that sits behind M&S Food. So I think we have a really, really good, powerful understanding of the virtue of each of the different media channels and all of the different campaigns as well. So I think we've got a really good understanding of how to use the media channels in harmony together. For others, possibly, yes, I think it becomes harder.
Now, I don't know if this bit was private, but I'm going to out him anyway, because it's brilliant. You know the profitability study? You see that post online, someone put it online, and the amount of discussion, the profitability, I don't believe that. It was some nonsense, wasn't it, Rupert? It was absolute BS. Now, your internal I asked you this, the profitability of TV to 4 times or whatever it is. You said your actually mirrored it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that okay to out you on that?
Yeah, well, you just have. So.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking me.
But I think that's an amazing point. It's actually because the biggest criticism that the study has is it's not campaign specific, it's not brand specific. And it marries up nicely with what you're doing.
I'm sure it's going to change from industry sector to industry sector as well. So what is right for food retail may not necessarily be right in other sectors. But for us, absolutely, you know, we're convinced of the value of it. But I do think that it's a really fractured landscape, and it's quite difficult and quite impenetrable for people to understand it at the moment.
Yeah. So collaboration. Okay, Simon, this digital transformation that Fleur mentioned that has occurred within the COVID era, right? Selling stuff online, so you need to market online, usually led by consultants. Is that a bit of a killer for the TV industry, this drive to overspend in digital environments?
So firstly, hello, I'm Simon. I'm the global head of media at Haleon, which is an offspin of GSK. So the question was, are consultants bad?
Yes.
To summarise. I mean, we talked about this last week. So I have a problem with management consultants in that they will go from one company to the next, selling something that is very short-termist and doesn't tend to work, or it only tends to work for a period of time. And then at the same time, they'll be talking directly to your competitor or beyond the competitor, telling them how to sort of beat you and get a competitive advantage from it. So do management consultants offer the best advice when it comes to media and TV and advertising? No, definitely not.
Do you think TV companies need to, if they're an influencer, do you think they need to do a bit of work with the management consultants then to go, actually, what advice you're giving is kind of naff?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think the reason that companies tend to work with management consultants comes from that old that phrase, which was, I think, like, you never get fired for working with IBM, and then it got changed and you never got fired for working with Accenture, now it's McKinsey.
Yeah.
I think if you're running a publicly listed company, you know, there's a perception from shareholders that if you're working with a management consultancy, then you're heading in a quite efficient model. You're going to deliver profit because...
But you probably will in the short term if you chase that efficiency.
They will in the short term, yeah. But, you know, like a lot of investors are chopping and changing their share, their stock, their portfolios. So if you've got that, it's an indication that in the short term there's going to be profit. So as a CEO, be it of any publicly listed company, it might be a TV company, it does indicate to the market that there's going to be efficiencies. I think it also indicates to the markets that, you know, in 3 years' time you're going to be fucked. But that's my interpretation of it.
Yeah. Well, I think a really good example, since you did used to work at Adidas, is can we mention Nike? I know we don't want to like bash on about another brand. I'm happy to do that, but you guys are probably not. But Nike's really interesting run, where they went into digital transformation, they went fully, you know, into the digital world, programmatic and all the rest of it. And now look at it, Black Friday, 25% off your Jordans. Unbelievable, never seen discounts. Is that what happens basically to your brand when you listen to the consultants and move too much spend to digital? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, but I also think, taking the Nike example, I think that through digital transformation, you shouldn't actually forget that, like, the game we're in doesn't actually change over time. And I said this loads of times when we've spoken. The rules around it, how we reach consumers, may change slightly. But obviously, for instance, I haven't worked at Nike, so I don't know the details of it, but they very much believed into the loyalty, there's DTC, there's like we can sell more, etc.
Yeah.
Which fundamentally, if you're an FMCG brand, or I think who was it Coke or Pepsi who said something, who's your target consumer? A person that drinks. You know, that doesn't really change. And then you move over to digital channels, you shouldn't forget those fundamentals of how you're kind of doing marketing. So, I mean...
Well, yeah, it's why you go on the website is not because you've clicked on a banner. Is that ultimately what you're saying?
Exactly. You have to de-average a little bit. I mean, the media mix, if we are, you know, effectively selling an anti-age cream for you know, the 55, 65... yeah, you know.
She offered me some 10 minutes prior to this panel, just so you know. So ringing endorsement there.
You're looking great there. Right?
Well, I'm 3 days in, all right? I'm jet lagged. Yeah.
No, but you have to de-average the mix that you have for different purposes. Is also a bit my point. Like, there's fundamentals that always stick. If you're selling the anti-age cream, you're going to have a different media mix. You're probably going to, you know, skew it into a slightly Asian one than if you're, you know, selling a youthful serum, for instance.
Fair enough.
I think with John Donoghue, who was the CEO of Nike, he was brought in around 2020, 2019.
Yeah.
And there was an emphasis on profitability. You get most of your profit, if you're a company like Nike, from like e-commerce, because you don't share any of the money. So I think he really went down that route. He really bought into first-party data, programmatic, retargeting, customer lifetime value, and totally forgot the brand. You know, like people buy Nike because of the brand and because of what it means to people. That's why they buy most commodities, is that they're differentiated in some way. And that includes TV channels. You know, like, if you're aware of them, if you're aware of the brand, I think it has a bigger impact on your probability to buy it as an agency or as an advertiser. So I think that was the problem with Donoghue, is like he really forgot, to Bee's point, the principles of what it is to be an advertiser and what a brand means. Yeah.
It is like a bit of Wall Street to blame here. So I read this analysis of, it was Nestle, P&G, and might have been Unilever as well. Again, I'm not hammering on their marketing strategy. a little bit I am. But this is they made a point to Wall Street to say, this is what they said: the ongoing shift of spending into digital advertising in general and social platforms and retail media in particular, and the ongoing focus of efficiencies and the role of each. So that's the message they have to give to Wall Street. And then they implement that. Is that a major problem, this whole quarterly Wall Street messaging? Because if they said we're going to invest in TV, long-term brand building, what would that do to their share price? Is that part of the problem?
I mean, from an FMCG perspective, we have a few FMCG clients, and from their side, I think also sometimes in this case there is a difference between what they say and what they do.
Oh, okay. So they'll say that to the market, but then they'll actually. Can we hear her?
Can you hear me?
There we go. Yeah. There.
Sorry. I think there is a discrepancy. I mean, we are seeing, particularly this year, we've seen FMCG absolutely lean into TV. They have to. It's showing the results to their business and they have to do it. They're driving sales and it's working. Are they still investing in those other areas? Yes, they are.
Are they investing too much?
At the detriment.
Are they investing too much, do you think?
I think for me, it goes back to the role of channels and where everything sits. It is not as simple, as I said at the beginning, it's not as simple as everyone just going for effectiveness. There are different challenges that are facing. When we talk about social, actually, social is not, marketing is no longer just pushing your messages out. Social is a channel where they hear, they talk, they gauge, they're learning about how people are feeling about their brands, and they need to be there. So it really goes back to what the role is and how you're using it, and it gets you back into the multi-channel mix. Okay.
Robbie, you work for a TV company. What would you do to sell it better to brands? You mentioned collaboration, right?
Yeah.
Give us like what does that mean? Like, what practical thing would you ask for if you could just magic it to activate in the UK market and maybe leverage more spend?
I think one of the things that the TV industry needs to do is start considering the medium as a whole. So I'll give you an example of that. I went home the other day. I have a 13-year-old son, and I walked into the living room, and I said to him, "What are you doing?" And he sort of grunted at me, and he went,
"Are you at the grunt stage?"
Watching telly. Yeah. I'm watching telly. And I had to sit down with him and say, "Look, I'm sorry, Oliver, you're not watching telly. You're actually watching YouTube Shorts on a connected device."
Yeah.
And he I think he really appreciated the feedback that
Probably
I gave him.
one of his best chats with you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, certainly one of the longest. But there's kind of a serious point in there, isn't there? Actually, he doesn't care. He doesn't care if it's BVOD, he doesn't care if it's linear, he doesn't care if it's SWOT, he doesn't care about any of that stuff. He's watching telly, that's what he's doing actually. And the industry, there are so many sorts of artificial, it comes back to what I was saying before, so many, I think, artificial divides that are kind of creating this disparity between how the industry is viewing the medium and how people are actually interacting with it as well. So if there's a way that actually you can concentrate on what I think the power of TV does brilliantly, which is creating an emotional engagement with your audience, that actually still bringing prestige and credibility to the brand and allowing you to tell a story. I think if you can concentrate on what you do brilliantly, then great. But I think there's probably a lot of politics that needs to be out of the way first in order to do that.
Fair enough. Simon, you're a TV exec now. Which one do you work for, just out of interest? The one that would appeal to you the most?
Oh God, that's hard.
It is.
Channel 4, who's here?
Yeah, who's here? Okay, don't answer that.
Pick a German one.
Yeah.
I'm based in Germany, so.
What would you do?
So I would appeal to analysts and shareholders personally. Like I
Shareholders? Is that like above the CEO?
Yeah.
People we don't know who they exist. Like.
If you think, yeah, true. But
Yeah.
the thing about the digital platforms is what they've done is they've gone into the C-suite. They've made themselves really accessible to the CMOs. They've made themselves indispensable when talking about, how progressive you are as an organisation. Like working with Google 10 years ago and talking about that, nothing wrong with it, but it had connotations that it was progressive and you're going to, grow your business significantly. I think TV's missed that trick a little bit. Like if you look at profitability, long and short of it, all of these studies, they all, and from internal econometric studies, they all kind of say the same thing, which is TV's the most effective channel. It's also one of the most efficient as well. So it's going to generate sales. It's going to generate revenue. In profitability's example, generates profit. So why aren't you talking to analysts to say, why aren't companies working with us? Like, why aren't they investing? It should be an accolade in the same way that working with Google or Amazon is. And I think it's about marketing it correctly to the right people.
Okay, how do you do that though? Like, are you willing to roll out your CEO in front of some TV execs? Like, are you going to help provide that gap?
Well, I'm not, no. But,
but how do you do it though?
My point is to go above that. And my point is to make the CEOs and the CFOs accountable to deliver that revenue, right? And I think like TV offers that as a means. So find out who the analysts are, go to the quarterly shareholder meetings, ask those questions. I think that might piss off a few people, but like, I think that's the approach that is potentially missing, is like, how do you make it so fundamental to the way that you market that it has to be on the plan?
So are you saying that the heads of media don't have as much clout as we think they do?
I don't know how much clout you think we've got.
All of it. I think you've got most of it.
No. I mean, it's dispersed. All responsibility in these companies is dispersed.
Okay.
Fleur was talking about FMCG saying one thing and doing another. Like, it's because it's so complex within.
Yeah.
There are so many stakeholders that actually a lot of the time you're managing the stakeholders to do the right thing rather than, like, oh, I've got a load of money, I'm just going to whack it onto TV.
Yeah.
That's the problem. There's so much complexity that it's not just about effectiveness. It's not, sadly. But I guess we don't have as much control as you think we do.
Okay, that's great. So target to analysts, senior bods. I believe that's Rupert's job at ThinkBox, isn't it, mate? You can let us know afterwards how that's going. Fleur, you're going to come in?
Yep.
Do you work for a TV company or a streamer?
No, TV company.
Oh, good answer. Yeah.
So
what would you do?
So there's probably three parts. One is we are an industry that go on about frequency all the bloody time and we don't actually then do it ourselves. Just keep talking about it. We've got these brilliant studies, we've got the results, like just keep talking about it. We kind of release it and then go, oh, obviously Rupert is going out. I mean, this is now, I feel like you should maybe be up here, but we just need to keep going. So frequency is one. I think the other one is around innovation. And I think...
Do you think TV companies are innovative?
I think they are to a level, but it goes back to what we were just talking about the tech platforms. I mean, they're going in and showing us like 1 million beta tests all the time. And I think that's one of the challenges. I also think it's about innovating in the right spaces. We know that one of the biggest challenges facing TV is that young audience. What products are we creating, are being created to really help drive the viewing of those? Now, obviously, ITV is getting there slightly. ITVX has done a good job, but there's more that we need to do there. So that's where the innovation needs to be. If you want to bring it back, focus on some of those audiences, which is where we've been losing, and innovate in those spaces. Okay,
B, are you going to roll out your CEOs for the TV companies that are going to talk to you after this panel?
If there's value in it, yes, why not?
Okay. Would he take the meeting? Like, the reality of it, would those individuals that Simon was mentioned, would they take the meeting?
I mean, hopefully he would trust my advice when it comes to choosing the right media. So hopefully he would not need it together with my team. I think he would absolutely take the meeting. As I said, if there's a value to it. So I would probably echo what the previous speakers have said. One other thing that I would probably do as a TV exec is actually lean into creativity. This is a hugely strong media that is known, obviously, for great content, creativity, knowing how to emotionally connect with consumers. Personally, we don't even call it TV planning, we call it audiovisual planning, because it's just that, it's audio and visual.
And you put all your video into that bucket?
At the strategy phase, yes, that obviously goes into like more detailed planning. But on the strategy phase, yes, because we need audio-visual to be able to reach certain objectives that we have for the various products that we're advertising. So I think leading into that creativity is hugely important. Also, because again, I go back a little bit to the structure and the approach that we have. Having a centralized model is quite important to be able to execute this creatively across different channels. And I think broadcasters have a huge opportunity because they know their own platform extremely well. But again, it can be a bit challenging for an advertiser to get that going.
Are you quite keen, because you work globally, are you quite keen on these sort of global propositions to buy TV sort of centrally, globally, and then spread it out into the markets? Would that make it a lot easier for you?
In principle, yes. I mean, it's not centralized to 100% in that sense, but we do have a model where we go from strategy to planning to execution and implementation and buying through a centralized hub.
Yeah.
So obviously, if that value chain is integrated into other things that are centralized as well, yeah, it's a benefit for us.
Okay, great. We're going to talk about agency relationships, which is a hot topic at the moment, given some of the news about agencies, consolidation, all the rest of it. But quickly on that creative one, Robbie, you've got a really interesting story here, because you don't actually use an agency for creative. You do it all in-house.
Yeah.
Why do you do that? Are the agencies not delivering for you guys and you have to do it in-house, or?
No, it's not necessarily that. I think, I mean, fundamentally, I think marketing is about finding a creative solution to a business problem. So for us, having it in-house means that we can get so much closer to the problems that we're trying to solve. If you don't know the problem you're trying to solve, you can only guess at what the solution might be. One of the things I think it's allowed us to do, to your point actually, is it's freed us up to work with whoever we want to and partner with whoever we want to within the industry. So for us, actually, partnering with media owners, partnering with broadcasters is really important to us. So it's no coincidence, Cooking with the Stars, UK's most successful ad-funded program. It's now it's going into its 5th season there.
Is that a sponsorship or is that co-production?
It's an ad-funded program with ITV. So it's the biggest cooking show on ITV now as well. It's 5 years of doing that. So if you can form those really innovative partnerships, you can create content that people want to watch as well.
Do you have that direct relationship with the broadcaster, like with or without the agency involved?
Well, with the agency involved, but it's a really open, and this is one of the reasons why we love working with our agency, because they're very humble and open to those conversations, and actually we can be really collaborative about that as well. That's why we moved our creative in-house. It seems to be working for us at the moment.
Okay, brilliant. Simon, consolidation amongst agencies, amongst the big guns. Obviously, the big news this week. Without really thinking, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear that news? Go.
Omnicom.
That's it? Is it a concern? Like, are you looking at it going, that's good for the industry, it's bad for the industry, it's like, don't give a shit?
Yeah, I think it's probably good for IPG. Yeah.
Well, they're being acquired, so they're delighted.
It's gone up, yeah. Yeah, I think it is, because I think it will also create more independence. So I think hopefully we'll see more independent agencies come to the market once there's potentially more consolidation, more efficiency within that. I think it will open up to more creativity within the agency landscape. So yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Has your relationship with your agency changed over the last few years, or is it business as usual?
Better.
What makes it better?
I think we set like an agenda and a strategy and a vision, and then we kind of asked them to come on that journey with us, and they were reasonably happy to do so.
Reasonably happy to do so.
They were. I mean, but they were. It just takes, there's a lot of pressure on agencies, I think, and
But who's putting the pressure on the agencies?
Client. Client.
Yeah.
Media owner.
Yeah.
Like both are. I think clients in particular, with procurement being the way that they sometimes are, it makes it really challenging for the agencies.
Yeah. Okay, B, you're gonna get the horrible question here about principal media buying. Based on that pressure that Simon's putting on his agency, agencies are, engaging in this, which they have for years, right? Can you what's the truth about this? Is it just what's going to happen and what is happening and that's all fine? Or do you really care about it and are you concerned?
I mean, I think any advertiser has to make a crystal clear choice if they go for agent or principal relationship. That's a given.
That's given. But is that a bad thing, good thing for the industry? Doesn't matter thing for the industry?
I think it's very worrying for the industry if that isn't clear, the different structures and different legal implications of having those different structures. But like I said, I think that it may be beneficial for some advertisers. It may not be beneficial for some advertisers to have a principal set up. But I think the choice will always be there.
Okay. Right, so it's just going to continue, and some advertisers are going to pick it and some aren't. Is that basically it?
Yeah.
Okay, Fleur, you've been quiet on this one.
Come and ask me anything.
Well, I'm coming to you now.
No, don't worry, I know you're coming my way.
I am. In the press, agencies are getting hammered, aren't they? Here we go. I've got some quotes here. Long overdue innovation. Do you feel that the industry commentators are giving you just too much of a hard time? Do you think that's a fair criticism that you're getting in the press?
I mean, media agency, if we look at the whole industry, media agencies more than ever have always had to transform and evolve. We absolutely have. It's the brilliance of media. There's always new channels coming in, new platforms, there's new ways of measuring. As agencies, and this is across the board, we are absolutely used to it. We love it. We thrive on it because it allows us to look at things differently.
You're loving life at the moment? Is an agency world?
I mean, actually, yeah. I don't want to tell you this, but our client survey score was just come back and it was the highest ever. So something's working.
Yeah.
So I think...
So the news is unfair, is what you're saying. Yeah. It doesn't represent what's going on behind closed doors.
No, I don't think it is. It's not. Look, it's tough, but the economy is tough, and therefore it's tough on our clients' businesses.
Yeah.
We are fundamentally, there is one mission for all of us as media agencies, which is about helping our clients drive growth.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes in their categories, that's really hard.
Yeah.
Other times, things are going well and you can ride it. But that is about us doing it. We have to spend our money in the most effective way because we've got to make sure that we're helping to drive that. So as long as we're focusing on that, we're driving growth, we're doing what we can, then yeah, it's good.
Simon, are clients to blame for adding to another layer of murkiness in the industry? Which it is. No. Am I allowed? Can I have like 5 more minutes? I'm not allowed 5 more minutes. Shit, we've got 4 adverts to show as well.
I know, that's like, don't get 5 more minutes.
Okay, can we show the ads?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to show the ads, but you have to answer the question first.
Partly, yes.
Partly. Will it ever change though, or is it just it's okay if it's this is just the way it's going to be? Get over it, Justin, and I'll stop talking about it.
No, I think like to Fleur's point, everything's evolving and changing. I think things will change for the better and worse. But yeah, we're all partly to blame. Like media owners are partly to blame, agencies are partly to blame, clients are partly to blame.
Some people in the audience are partly to blame.
Not those.
No.
It's no one else's fault. Okay, all right. So what we did, because they knew I was going to give them such a hard time, that they picked an ad each. So do you want to see some ads and listen to some very senior people tell us why they thought the ad was great and why it was effective? I don't know the order. I don't even know the ads. I haven't seen them. So I'm going to tell AV. Can you just play the first one in order, and then whoever picked it is going to have to explain why they thought it was excellent.
A person holding a bag on a chair. It's a sofa. A chair. Why is she in a pool? No more pool. Mustard or yellow? Pink? How did he get there? Oh, I love her smile. Blue.
Yeah, we get the picture as some European risque ad, but, and I know why she likes it. This is a lady who loves her bags, but why do you like that ad?
So a bit of a broader context to this one, actually. So I do like my bags.
Yeah.
We should say we've been bag shopping together. That just came as a really, really strange comment, but we actually have.
Yeah.
So this is a part of a little bit of a bigger context that I almost started talking about. So obviously Loewe is part of LVMH group, and this is a typical Spanish brand. You see in the inspiration here, I don't know a lot about the media strategy, so I can't really speak to that, so I'm speaking more of the creativity. There's a lot of references actually to the core of the brand around surrealisms and so on and so forth. If you then stack up all the brands and how they communicate very much from the core of the actual brand. So Balenciaga actually has a history in construction, around construction things. You see that actually in the communication. MS, which is not part of the group, they go back to a question. So what I think they do really well, not to be long-winded, is we work with really timeless, iconic brands. We don't need to make our brands trendy. We need to make them timely. But that means not changing the brand. It's just the timely execution of the brand. And I do think that they do that quite well in these, even though it's a very surrealistic ad. It still is very true to the brand.
Superb. Great explanation. Okay, next ad, please.
I wouldn't come here, to be honest. Oslo is just not... I mean, is it even a city? You know what I mean? Everything is just so available. You know, there's no exclusiveness. I grew up here, and I temporarily live here, unfortunately. I don't understand why people go swimming in the middle of the city. It's disgusting. Have you ever been to Istanbul? Also feels more like a village, maybe. I mean, you walk around a corner and it's like, oh, there's the prime minister. And you walk around the next corner, it's like, oh, there's the king. I mean, you could just walk from one side of town to the other in like 30 minutes. Try that in New York or Paris.
It's an American architect.
Culture? I don't know. If you don't have to stand in line for at least a couple of hours, is it even worth seeing? Not exactly the Mona Lisa. Sometimes I just walk right in off the street and get a table. And I'm not even famous. I mean, what does that tell you? I think a city should feel a little hard to get. It's like a good relationship, you know? It's not supposed to be easy.
Okay, Simon, that's yours.
I really like this just because it plays on the creative idea of, like, why does everyone want to go to a city? And then it does the opposite. And I think it stands out as a consequence of that. It got a huge amount of PR, and it's what advertising is all about for me. So I thought it was excellent.
Do you know if it was effective?
I know it got a lot of PR. I was trying to look at that. I couldn't find any evidence for it when I quickly looked. But I saw that there was a huge amount of PR. I think there was an uplift on the website, but I don't know if that counts as effective.
Okay. Should we ask the boss if we can get one more, or is he going to say, what are you going to say? Oh, he's going to do one more. All right, just one more then. One more from the AV room. I don't know which one it is.
Hiya.
Hi.
Thanks for waiting.
30.
I'm Gina.
Hi, Gina.
So I'll just jump in then, shall I?
Okay.
Sorry, excuse me. Sorry, this is my one.
Trains, now an Uber.
That's brilliant.
It's fucking brilliant, isn't it? It's brilliant. It's just, I mean, that's telly at its best. It's got a real human insight that sits behind it. It's right at the core of it. Immaculate performance, really well observed, and unbelievably British as well, isn't it? It's great.
Uber have had a great story because they weren't a trusted brand because they're digital first and people were actually getting in cabs. They actually spent an awful lot of money around the world on telly, didn't they? In order to become trusted. And I think that's one of the things that maybe TV can trade on a bit. I think that's all we've got time for, isn't it? Yeah, that is. He's nodding. He's been filmed. Sorry, Fleur. I'm sorry. Boo.
Really picked on.
I know. I know. Who would? You want one more? Okay, AB, play it then. Yay, yeah. We're a democracy. It's a minute and a half.
This is my space. A place to take off my armour.
And coming up next on today's show, we have the big trans debate. Stay tuned.
And wash away the noise. What do you think, Mom? Are they evil? Mom, the camera's on. You've got your phone over the camera. Mom, you can't. This is my space to hurt. and to heal. Where I exist. Where I can be reborn. Come in. Where I can be comfortable in my skin. This is my space. This is me.
So it obviously won the Channel 4 Diversity Award. But for me, the reason why it's so brilliant is that it is absolutely about everyone's skin needs. It covers all, but it does so through a community and through a really important community that hasn't been covered. And I think it's just a beautiful way of doing it. It is truly inclusive. And actually also with them, before they ran it, they also spoke to that community, they checked through it, and it is just a beautiful piece of work. So inclusion perspective.
That's a brilliant way to end. That's the client panel and agency panel, so give them a massive round of applause. So thanks.